in Jodhpur, and her subject is Overcoming the Barriers to Learning. A brief introduction of Jyoti. She has over 40 years experience as educator, facilitator, author, copy editor, explorer of opportunities, all-round student faculty development. She has served as a postgraduate teacher of English, history, additional history, and been an examiner for CBSE Class 12. She has a TKT, Teacher's Qualification from the University of Cambridge, and from University of Queensland, Australia. She has also has certification from the University of London in film, images, and historical interpretation of the 20th century on the subject "The Camera Never Lies." She is obviously a polymath. She has also completed an MBA in June last year, and currently she is associated with the National Institute of Fashion Technology, Jodhpur, as adjunct faculty in English and history, and regularly conducts workshops of faculty and personality development, both offline and online. So welcome, Jyoti. We'll look forward to hearing your presentation on overcoming the barriers to learning, which are many in our country.
A very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar. As Mr. Thakur has rightly said, my name is Jyoti Karju, and I profess to be a lifelong learner. I hope I'm clearly audible. I'm now
Yes,
beginning.
yes.
We met at Bodhi last year, Mr. Thakur,
Oh,
for the
yes, yeah,
TEDx.
you look familiar. Yes,
We met at the TEDx talks.
yes, yes,
I've begun to share screen. Is it visible?
yes. Visible barriers to learning. Yes,
Thank you so much. Now, what happens is like barriers to learning, but before we really understand what exactly are barriers to learning, it's very important to know what exactly is learning. Now, what happens with learning is the ability to do, the ability to know, the ability to exist per se. And learning is the process of acquiring new knowledge, understanding, behavior, skills, values, attitudes, and preferences. And as we are all aware, humans, animals, and even some machines possess the ability to learn. And of course, we are all aware that there is some learning which is immediate, induced by a single event, being burnt by a hot stove. But much skill and knowledge accumulates from repeated experiences. And the changes we feel, we perceive in our life are all learning experiences. Now, learning, like I said earlier, there are four pillars of education: learning to know, learning to do, learning to be, and also learning to begin, learning to collaborate. It is important for a teacher to know what learning is because teaching is not complete without learning. Teaching and learning both complement each other, and
absolutely.
one could easily say if no learning has taken place, no teaching has taken place either. And a teacher must know about how learners learn, and this is the reason teachers must gain knowledge about concept and methodology of learning. Now, what happens is we are talking of all these parameters. Larissa Walk says if there has been no learning, then no teaching has taken place. And for teaching to take place, every teacher needs to come down to the level of the student and work up from there. We can't expect the students to rise up to our level without us actually going down. The teacher needs to ensure knowledge and competence is acquired, and knowledge builds on previous knowledge. This is true of teaching in all areas. And now to come to what are the barriers? We have social, cultural, emotional barriers. So first, I'll try to discuss the emotional factors that affect learning. The first is the student's self-esteem. This plays an important role in his ability. And the encouragement that the student receives from teachers, parents, friends, it plays an important role in emotional learning. And if a student is somehow made to adopt a mindset of always trying his best and learning from his failures, he'll generally have a positive outlook on his ability to learn. And on the other hand, if the student's internal voice is always telling them that they are not good enough or there's no point in trying, the student is more likely to underachieve in school. So students who have self-esteem, higher self-esteem, they are more resilient, and when they perceive mistakes as experiences from which they can learn. Self-esteem is actually the degree to which the students feel satisfied with themselves and they feel valuable and worthy of respect. Low self-esteem or lack of confidence leaves students doubting in their ability to succeed, making them hesitant to learn. So the teacher in class should always try to build up the self-esteem of each of the learners. Then the other emotional well-being, students who lack confidence, they're afraid to take educated guesses. Every student should possess the ability to take uh, an intelligent guess, an educated guess. And the teacher should actually convince the student that even if he's wrong, it's not wrong. There can be a number of emotional factors at play in a student's learning, which includes fear of embarrassment, uh, doubt, inadequacy, and all these things together lead to lack of self-esteem. So generally speaking, negative emotions can be reduced by setting expectations, focusing on the positives, and setting goals for the future. And also, what is motivation? Motivation in the context of education is the ability to learn. A student's availability to learn depends largely on their motivation, and our personal desire to achieve results and improve our knowledge, regardless of the material being studied, is one of the most important factor in our ability to learn. So, if we possess, like, I'm not talking of myself, but myself personally, which something which was not said in my introduction. I belong to the city of Jodhpur. I'm a grandmother, I'm a mother, I'm a mother-in-law, I'm a wife. I play, like Dr. said, that I don various hats, but I did complete my MBA in the middle of the pandemic. So our personal desire to achieve results and improve our knowledge is one of the most important factors in our ability to learn. And like we talk of Maslow all the time as a management person, so self-actualization comes top of the list in the essential needs that we require to learn. So we need to learn, we don't need a degree to get a job. We need to get a certification, a degree for self-actualization. And this lack of motivation is a major barrier to students learning. And also a lack of motivation to study typically results in students going through the motions of learning and not retaining information. So our efforts as teachers has to be to motivate the child, the learner, to learn. And on an individual level, we see a lot of students have a great deal of personal issues. There may be a student with diagnosed learning difficulty like autism or Asperger's syndrome, but we have to deal with students with learning impairments like dyslexia, personal barriers. So these personal barriers, and on a practical level, there are factors such as transport, location, language, and access to resources. In present day, there is the most important block is the lack of the availability of the internet. I'm dealing with students from far off places in Uttarakhand, in villages in Karnataka, in villages in Maharashtra, where there is an internet issue. And children in families of three, four children. So most parents cannot afford four laptops. And also as an ELT, as an English language teacher, I feel that school pupils who don't speak English as their first language find following instructions more difficult. Or students, like I already said, students who live in remote locations, they have a lack of resources. This also becomes a barrier to learning. So, teachers, what can we do? We need to have an awareness of these learning roadblocks, and we can help other teachers as career advisors, as parents. We can understand the individual needs of all our students and all our learners. And also, one of the important social and cultural barrier is the lack of ability, though here it says ability to interact, but communication. A student's ability to interact socially with their peers will have a significant impact on how they progress in the classroom. And the very act of learning in a classroom environment involves interacting with other students. And this is something we greatly miss in the pandemic because most students are not learning from laptops. A lot of them, I realize, are learning from phones. And the Zoom on the phone does not give the same ability for the teacher as well as the student. Interaction, as we are all aware, is very, very important. And discussing lessons with other students helps pupils realize their own strengths and weaknesses. And then, peer teaching, peer learning. And we'll notice and we'll all agree that school students who have poor social skills often fall behind in their learning because they're not able to communicate as effectively as others. Therefore, communication is most important, is one of the most important things. Of course, not all types of learning require students to be social, but in the early years in particular, the ability to listen, respond, and empathize. And we must remember, of course, in English we say LSRW, but listen, respond, and empathize. We should be able, and empathy comes from the teacher. If we learn to empathize with all our students, they will learn to empathize with the others. Then the environment also shapes social skills. The culture in which a child grows up has a bearing. And we've already looked at Maslow's table. Belonging is one of the most essential learning needs. The relationships that we form with our parents, friends, and teachers. Teacher parent relationship is also very important. And often, as teachers, we write letters of complaint, diary notes, but make it a habit to write a note of appreciation on a daily basis. Any child, pick up one child, appreciate the child, and write a note to the parents. As humans, we are generally influenced by the people around us, especially during the first 5 years. Our principal influencers are our parents and guardians, and the beliefs that parents hold and cultures they embrace. So never ever, as parents, never ever criticize the school or the teacher. And for example, we notice that if a student has grown up in a household where mathematical subjects are given more weight than languages, those students have a cultural barrier when it comes to learning subjects like English. So religion, history, regional, ethnic, education, language, economic, all these things together make up our personalities and also the personalities of the teachers, of the learners. And as teachers and facilitators, it is our foremost duty to remove all these barriers to learning. I wish to thank everybody here for the opportunity. I'm grateful. And that brings an end to my session. Thank you, Mr. Thakur. Thank you, Dr. Sunita Gandhi. Thanks a ton. Namaskar. You are not audible. You are not audible. You are on mute. आप म्यूट में है मिस्टर
Yes,
ठाकुर.
yes. No, I've got it, Thank you very much for a concise, to the point, and of course you pointed out the barriers, but the real problem is how to overcome these barriers. And I think that's the essence of today's session, workshop that we are having today.
One word answer would be empathy.
Empathy, right.
Empathy from the teacher to the learner, from the parent to the teacher.
Well, I would also add to that we should all make, starting with government, education the number one priority in the national development effort, which hasn't happened for a very long time. Anyway, thank you very much, Dr. Katju.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor.
You should be, given all your high qualifications.
Yeah, but I'm not a doctor as yet. I'm trying.
Yes, you're trying.
Thank you, Mr. Thakur.
Now we, who's any